go. Hi-ho, hi-ho.
Greetings, friends. Welcome to yet another edition of Chickster's Channel. You know, it seems that all summer long the minimum wage debate was going on. Hardly a week went by that I didn't read news of it somewhere. California, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Ohio. As I speak, my very own political misfits are gearing up for minimum wage to be a major issue in this year's upcoming gubernatorial race in New Jersey. Chris Christie and Barbara Buono are drawing their battle lines. I'm sure anyone on the election slate will have a position on minimum wage one way or the other. Hell, even our friends in Washington, D.C. have booted around some obscure and vague minimum wage bill to be enforced in the D.C. metro area. The bill had language to the effect of a large retail employer, and that could be anyone, right, must pay their help a minimum wage of $12.95 per hour or not be able to do business in the D.C. metro compound. When the large retailers heard of this little comedy, they said, "Bye, see ya." That was not only the now infamous Walmart, but Lowe's, Home Depot, Target, Dick's Sporting Goods, TJ Maxx, to name a few. Pass that bill and they will not play in your sandbox. And that was a message that they sent. Of course, the two demon organizations central to this debate are Walmart and McDonald's. And this may be because they are two of the world's largest employers with global operations, or because they make a lot of fucking money. In any event, these two American icons have become the poster children for the "we must raise the minimum wage" battle cry. The argument is that in most areas, especially very expensive habitats like New Jersey, these minimum wages do not provide a living wage, i.e. a wage that allows a person or a family to live above the poverty line and be able to save some money for retirement and stuff like that. Now, also depending on which economist report you read, the minimum wage did not keep up with inflation since like 1976. And today's minimum wage should be anywhere from $10 to $14 an hour. Again, there are dozens of studies. Pick your poison, your mileage may vary. Now, this argument does hold true on the surface. Here is a snapshot from a table, povertyinamerica.org website. This is for the state of New Jersey. It lists the state's minimum wage at $7.25 per hour. The top line is a so-called living wage, where a person in listed familial circumstances should be paid. As you can see, the minimum wage stays flat as the living wage increases. If you look at the far right column, a family of 5, the living wage is $24.74 an hour, or just over $51,000 a year gross. Now, even the most rabid minimum wage increase soldiers realize this is ludicrous. But they protest that if 2 working heads of household only had minimum wage jobs, but that minimum wage was over $12 an hour, the family can live comfortably, with mom and dad flipping burgers at McDonald's. I read a similar report by a different agency that suggests the living wage in New Jersey for this family should be $100K. 51 is tough for a family of 5, mainly because half of one's income goes to some sort of tax or another if one makes much more over $25,000. I think a true number is based on 40 years of my living in New Jersey. A true number is more like 75 to 80K for a family of 5. But in any event, this bolsters the argument for we should have a $12 an hour minimum wage in New Jersey. Are these people insane? Do they think that these low skill level jobs should pay this much? These jobs were never designed to help the Smiths support themselves and 3 kids on. These entry level, low skilled jobs were slated for high school kids, summer teens, those just entering the workforce, and old pensioners who wanted a little extra coin for Atlantic City or something, and maybe the recently paroled convict. When these business plans were devised and modified over the last several decades, there was never a thought to how Mr. Smith was going to support his family of 5 on $7.25 an hour, because the skill level doesn't demand that much more. Hell, if I were McDonald's, I would have automated the process with robots in the late 80s and gotten rid of the need for more than 3 or 4 button pushers in any store. And if the minimum wage increasers get their way, this may happen because it makes business sense to do that. 80% of McDonald's are franchises, and small businesses they are, with fewer than 200 employees. In several stores maybe, but fewer than 200 employees. I've heard your my elected officials, some of them going so far as suggest a tiered minimum wage. The guy with the family of 5 gets paid twice as much as the single guy, but doing the same job. Now, we expect employers to foster families and reward those that reproduce. What the fuck? Where's the fairness in that? When any business acumen is applied to this debate, with the recommendation that workers just progress both in skill and in wage, the answer is astounding. These are the only jobs available. Now, I have some young college graduate friends who told me they would be content with flipping burgers and taking out the trash if they got paid $20 an hour. $20 an hour. Is this what we've become in America now? We're now fighting over how much these low-skill jobs should pay us. Like a pack of hyenas fighting over the last piece of a dead antelope or a bone because there's nothing else to eat. It's very sad. Make no mistake, my friends, your elected representatives and your president want this minimum wage fight in the worst way. And that's because it takes attention away from the real issue, the sad fact that good paying jobs to have a skilled workforce are becoming scarce. Scarce because ever since the Reagan administration, our government, pandering to its corporate masters, have ensured our skills required decent paying jobs got shipped to other nations. The corporate money buys the politician and the wheels begin turning. And therein lies the great smokescreen of the minimum wage fight. Do you think that Chris Christie or Barbara Buono or Barack Obama or any of them would rather pander to one side or the other, business interests or labor, and fill you with a bunch of horse shit to supporting their claim or their position, and then blame it on the other party when nothing happens? You think they'd rather do that? Or do you think that they would prefer the difficult and painful question from you, which is, what are you doing to get high-paying jobs back in America? The answer is eerily obvious, my friends, and it's only going to change when we, the people, demand the proper action. Please, this coming election, don't get sucked into the smokescreen of a ridiculous diversion designed by them. Ask the painful question and demand the answer. They probably can't give it to you, then throw them out and get somebody else in there. And I'd like to personally add this to all our political leaders, our illustrious leaders. If you have an insatiable need to raise wages in this country, start with the men and women who serve in our armed forces. They could use a pay raise, okay? Now they're on the brink of having to worry about Syria and a bunch of other shit over there, but that's for another video. As always, I welcome your comments and thoughts. Until then, remember to think for yourself, because no one else can do it for you. Good night.